Hey guys, welcome to your Homegirls podcast. I'm Sharon.
I'm Jillian.
And I'm Fatima.
So this episode is a little bit different. I wanted to start off by talking about some controversial things. So did you guys know that 69% of adults have social media? Did you expect that number?
I feel like that's low.
It's
yeah,
low?
I thought it would be higher, actually. I thought it would be like in the
Yeah.
80s to 90s.
Yeah, I thought it would be too, but we also have to remember the boomers too. A lot of them don't
Fair
have
enough,
it, and
yeah.
that's majority of the population. So I was also looking it up too. So alternative to that, kids. Do you know what the number is?
For social media?
Yeah,
I'd
who have
guess
social media.
pretty close to 100.
Like 97.
Surprisingly, it's only 81%.
Really?
So I was actually watching this documentary. I mentioned it, The Social Dilemma, from the first episode.
Yep.
And I don't know if you guys had watched it yet. My recommendations that I gave you guys.
You know I don't listen to you.
I haven't watched it yet, but keyword there is yet. I will watch
yeah.
it.
No,
So-
I'm planning on watching it.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. It really breaks down how social media affects people. And I was looking at some statistics from the documentary, and they gathered some data from between 2009 and 2015. And it said specifically girls between the ages of 15 and 19, their suicide rate has increased by 70%, actually.
70.
70% it's increased.
That's
15 to
insane.
19 years old. And then for kids 10 to 14, it's actually 150%, 51% up.
Oh my
That is
God.
insane.
151% up.
That's 10. Sorry, you said 10 to.
10 to 14 years old
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
from 2009 to 2015. So I can imagine that number has drastically increased. As you've noticed, kids these days, they've matured so much. They're exposed to so many things. So have you guys heard about the 8 teenage girls in Toronto that murdered that? He's around mid-50s.
Yeah, I did see that.
Okay, so there's not much information about it, but all 8 of the girls were found and arrested, and one of them actually have been bailed out.
Yeah, I saw that
So what's interesting is they haven't mentioned any motive yet, and they were actually wanted the same night for another situation, which is interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and online it does say that they had met on social media and congregated from different areas of the Greater Toronto area.
Yeah, and I did see, I don't know now, I think this was a speculation that that murder was over like a bottle of liquor, a bottle of alcohol, but I know that's just a speculation for now. It hasn't been confirmed, but it's still just crazy to me how 8 teenage girls especially would commit such a murder.
Yeah, like I think it's a little crazy, but like I think also like at the same time not that crazy.
With the day and age
With
that we
the
are
day
in.
and age, like
Yeah.
like the thing is like we see everything now online, like on social media, in the news, like like there's a never ending like stream of I was gonna say knowledge, but it's not all correct.
Yeah.
Of just like input, right? Like there's just all this information and misinformation like everywhere. And honestly, I know for myself, I love a good true crime murder doc. I love like the podcast. It's like
Yeah.
the main, like the one thing I'm like super interested in. I feel like right now there's this huge boom of true crime and like murder being almost like romanticized.
Yeah.
Yes, especially with all the serial killers.
Yeah.
So one thing I did want to mention to kind of tie the documentary into the situation with these girls is a lot of kids these days have been exposed to just like vulnerable situations, violence and things like that. And it is really desensitizing these kids
Yeah.
to not have any reaction to these types of things, or even like be stimulated in a positive way, not necessarily positive, but sort of have a dopamine reaction because they are entertained by these things. And I think being exposed to these things so young, like the true crime and stuff, we can watch this at this age while our frontal lobes are developed. But someone that is like 12 years old watching these brutal murders, they can't really comprehend what truly is happening, and that maybe it's a bad thing or maybe it's a good thing. They will perceive these documentaries or these influx of knowledge on social media as however they perceive it, right?
Yeah.
It could be a positive way, a bad way, whatever. Or even if they're, monkey see, monkey do, they're so young, they might perceive it as something that, oh, maybe I can do it.
Yeah.
And they grow up and
and end up like, you never know, like maybe they they see it as almost a popularity. I mean, I don't know what they're thinking, but like, oh, maybe one day I'm gonna get spoken about. Like, even I was thinking like the Jeffrey Dahmer documentary.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't able to get past the first episode.
No.
I am like a little bit of a weakling when it comes to these kind of things. But what does it say about us as people that we actually can sit down and watch a whole series like that?
We want to
Yeah.
consume it, and
it's entertainment,
Yeah.
right?
like it's fun. I love it. Like
It's
It is.
crazy though.
So one thing I was going to mention, and like I don't, like, I'm not going to pretend like I know statistics on this or something, because this is like kind of old knowledge from the back of my brain, but like it made me think of, there's almost this gang mentality, especially
Yeah.
around teenagers, where it's like something you probably wouldn't normally do if you're in a group of people, and it's almost like peer pressure. Like, it's like, oh, should we do this? And then it's like, should we do this? Let's do it. And then like you kind of psych each other up, and you do something you'd like never think of doing.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like teenage crimes, that's kind of how they start. And like,
Yeah, as a group.
usually it's nothing as batshit crazy as that, but it's like impressionable kids get this gang mentality, and they don't want to be outcasted, so they'll do
Yeah.
things that they wouldn't normally do to feel like part of the group. Like, I wonder, like, with it being such a big group of girls, if that's kind of how it started. Like, I don't know exactly how they met and everything, but I would imagine they were like probably started off joking about things and like making comments and whatever, and then it just kind of got a little too real.
Yeah. And I have heard that like one of the psychologists, speaking of the case, was saying that how shocked they were that a group of teenage girls can commit such a crime.
Out of all groups, if any demographic, really
Yeah.
young, this like, so there was 3 13-year-olds, 3 14-year-olds, and 2 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's insane. So I mean, it's expected at that age, men, male, children, boys, really, to be doing these acts. It's more common for that to happen. You really can't hear this anywhere, that teenage girls are doing this.
Even the force it takes to like, I don't even want to mimic the act, but
Yeah.
like to constantly stab, like to stomach
There's a lot of rage that
Yeah.
goes behind stabbing someone, and for them, I don't know the number, but I believe it was quite a few
It
times.
was like in the 50s, I think.
Yeah, more than the amount of girls there were.
No.
Around 50 times, you said. A lot of times. It takes a lot of force, a lot of energy, and a lot of rage. So just kind of perceiving this as like an outsider and not, giving any knowledge on it, my personal opinion, I feel like there's more to it than what had
Yeah.
been released.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting too, because stabbing is, and especially stabbing like at that quantity, I guess, that volume, if we want to say that.
Yeah.
It's often linked with like a sexual release. Like, usually men who are impotent stab their victims. Women tend to do things like poison or shoot, because it's,
Yes.
I mean, like, shooting is like relatively violent, but it's not as personal.
Yeah.
And like, women in general tend to go for the more gentler.
Humane approach,
Yeah.
ethical in a way.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think that's why we tie these brutal crimes to men or boys doing it, because
Yeah.
like you said,
Yeah.
it's connected in a, I feel like
it's like
more
a psychosexual thing.
psychosexual
A lot of the time.
thing.
Not always, but
a lot of the time, exactly. And a lot of these serial killers, they'll discuss these impulses, and they are usually tied to a sexual desire, like Dahmer, like
Bundy,
and then I forget the other guy's name who ended up
John Wayne Gacy.
yeah
the
Gacy,
birthday
the clown. Yeah.
Nightmare Fuel, that
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
It's pretty freaky stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny though, like, I think in our lifetime, and like definitely since like my teenagers, so I don't know, how old am I?
Like 20
23,
years
like,
ago.
Past like 10 years, 20 years, oh my god. Like, in like the past like 10 years, whatever, like, I have heard of a couple cases, like, I don't know if you guys remember, there were those 2 girls somewhere in the States, I believe, who lured their friend into a forest, and
Yes.
they stabbed her to
yes.
death, and it was like a Slender Man sacrifice or something.
I remember that.
But I feel like when we see, again, guys, like, don't call me on this shit, I'm not a professional, but when we see like the younger girls killing, it's, I don't know, I feel like a lot of the time it ends up being tied back to like the occult in some way, and some like
Something-
crazy trend or fad or whatever that like
Yeah.
literally just spirals out of control.
it's never just, you know, like I feel like when they look at boys in these situations, they're like, oh, well, it's just in their nature, this is how they felt. But I
Boys
feel
are
like
just serial killers.
it's a little sexist. Yeah, like but then when they look at women, they're like, oh, they're just crazy, they, you know, like
yeah, lost
this
their
is, you know,
cool.
they imagined something.
Yeah,
It's really awful.
But yeah, it's funny because typically, like, just in the nature of men are more likely to commit like violent, like kind of gruesome crimes, and women are more likely to commit, yeah, like
A more
I said,
calculated,
like poisons and
crime.
Yeah, more
Calculated and,
calculated for sure.
and it's something like 50 plus stab wounds. That's like a frenzy.
Yeah. I can't fathom that this guy was a stranger. I cannot fathom that.
I know, like, I can't, like, again, we will need to wait and see what other new revelations are made, but if there isn't more to the story, that would just be mind-boggling, and it would definitely be something linked to being in a group setting, and once it started happening, like, I'm sure their mindset completely altered, and it was
Yeah.
like total
Yeah.
rage violent mode. But if there would be something that did trigger it, or something that is discovered later on, it would also be interesting to see what it is.
Yeah, well, we can definitely discuss that when more details are covered. But at the same time, they're also minors, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's not going to be a lot of information. They're never going to
There's
release
not.
their names. But like to kind of
They
circle
should.
back to it, it's interesting that they met. I don't think they were that close. I'm not quite sure, but like
Yeah, they all met on social media,
on
and
social
like
media from
total
different areas.
Like, it's not like they go to school together.
No,
And I know it was mentioned that a few of them have already had encounters with
with
law
the police, like
enforcement.
3 of them
Yeah.
or something. It's hard to understand why how this could happen. They haven't had that a lot of time together, don't know each other that well from what's been released.
Yeah.
In this,
And like they don't have much of a cult like manner, or not like a cult pack like manner in a way.
yeah, in the same kind of breath though, I think without social media these things wouldn't happen, because
Or
the
to that extent.
or to that extent at least, because the thing is, I think a lot of people who, like, maybe they're having like kind of cray serial killer thoughts and stuff, I feel like before
It was a
social media you were just like, oh my god, I'm gonna keep that to myself.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a lot
Write
harder to
manifesto.
access.
But now you can just go find like a server and find like-minded people who validate like these
Right.
urges that should probably be checked out by a psychiatrist.
Yeah,
Or
and it feels like the world is more open and more.
it's more normalized.
normalized,
Even though
yeah.
it's like it's not in like mainstream society. Like, you can find people who are gonna be like, what you're feeling is okay, act on those impulses.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, you can find communities, and I'm sure that's probably to an extent what happened with these girls, or like they came across each other looking for someone to talk to or something, and I think it's unlikely that 8 of them had murderous urges.
Yeah.
But maybe one of them did, and like they were all going through something kind of similar. Maybe they're all being like
Like a group,
bullied, or they all had
yeah.
like kind of similar home lives that they wanted to
Yeah.
talk, or something. Like, there was like
There's a link strong
there was
enough.
probably like
yeah.
a strong enough bond, and then one of them's like, let's fucking kill this guy, and they're
Yeah.
like, yes, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want you to like me still. I want you to still be my friend. Like, whatever. Like, it's just this like frenzy. And I feel like prior to the prevalence of social media, you couldn't find other like-minded individuals who would validate.
Yeah, I think it was a
Your-
lot harder, and I think
Yeah.
just in general, even with social media and with just like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it just feels like there's a lot more crime within the youth community. Like, it's just, I feel like every day I hear a story, and I mean, maybe that could be because we can see the world literally on our phones, and
Yeah, immediately.
I feel like every day there's something new. There's a new crime, like that Idaho crime now.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, the
28-year-old who
students,
was
yeah.
in Pennsylvania, and they're all the way in Idaho.
Mhm.
Like, he literally went in their home, like such an intimate space, while they were sleeping, and murdered them. Like, it's just insane to me.
And you
Mhm.
know what's crazy? I don't know if this has been proven or true, but apparently he had been posting. It's not confirmed, so it could be wrong. But there was like a page for the university that someone was posting, and they suspect it was him. Of what this person might think who the murderer is. Like-
yeah, I saw it was like a Snapchat article or something. So I just saw like
Of
the
the same
headline
thing,
and like
yeah.
I clicked through whatever. But like it was personal, like Idaho murderers, like
Yeah.
killer knew the victims, like whatever.
And that's the other thing too. Before they found the suspect, a lot of people, especially on TikTok, were suspecting one of the victim's ex-boyfriends, and that's really detrimental too. To have that just kind of like a forest fire burning throughout the whole world, thinking you are a murder suspect when you're mourning your ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. Even like whoever was the owner of that car, they suspected, I think it was a female. She was getting so much hate online, and like
in the neighbor.
We don't think, and the neighbor too, the awkward guy. Just like all these people like now getting hate, like they're gonna have to deal with those consequences, and people are just so quick and can be so cruel on the internet and just can really tear someone's reputation.
So have you seen or the World Cup just ended maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was after one of the games where Portugal lost, and there was a Moroccan girl who was on the camera, on one of the cameras for the World Cup, and she was making fun of Ronaldo, and she was like, haha, Ronaldo's in his car crying, something like that. And people, Ronaldo's fans, were hating on her so much, giving death threats to her family, because like he lost I believe it was a baby, it was a son, I believe, and they just thought she was being super insensitive, but she was just being a little girl, and it just so happened to be caught on camera and went viral. And her mom had to end up going without being on camera because she didn't want to be recognized by the world. Went on camera and said, my daughter's young, she barely understands English, she didn't mean it like that, you know, it's just about a soccer game. So, and apparently this girl's family has just been ripped apart because of this, when she was just being a kid. And you can imagine, like, I can only imagine, like, because of that video, her life is ruined. Like, or at least she could feel like it is, right?
Exactly. It definitely would feel like that when you're getting literally from all over the world, hateful messages and comments.
Like, growing up, if something happened and, you know, like, God forbid, there was some weird stuff about me on social media, felt like the end of the world when I was in middle school. But the actual world ganging up on you, like, you have so much access to literally anyone around the world to do or say anything to them. Or even there was a documentary, I forget what it's called, I'll have to bring it up another time, but it was this guy who would call the cops on people to the wrong home. I don't know if you've watched it, and someone ended up dying,
called? My sister.
Just an innocent victim ended up dying because the cops were called to his house, and he was like, "What the fuck? Why are you at my house?" And
like swatting someone. Right?
Swatting someone.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah. My sister always jokes that she's gonna swat us when we have family dinner.
Yeah. Well, you've watched it. Have you watched it?
Yeah. Like, it's brutal.
Yeah, like I forget the victims' names. I really got to remember the documentary just to give them some awareness to this documentary. But yeah, someone was swatting people, and someone ended up dying. It was a son, a father, you know, someone's family. Disturbing. And this guy did it to multiple people.
Yeah, I think it's super fucked up, like, in this day and age. I feel like sometimes this shit used to happen and we just weren't hearing about it, or as the world gotten fucked up like tenfold since I was a kid. I don't know, maybe things were happening at this frequency and we were just like none the wiser. Like, I feel like there's such a massive exposure to everything. You can't get away from it, right?
It makes me think the internet developed so quickly that we've forgotten, like, the foundation, our roots, like the everyday thinking in life. Like, every morning we wake up and we have access to all the negative news in the world, whereas back in the day when there was no social media or internet, we would wake up and all we would know is everything we can see, right? Everything tangible.
Like local newspaper.
Exactly, local newspaper at most, but like their day wouldn't be as negative as it is now. You can say you're not affected by it, by something happening across the world, but biologically, subconsciously, as a human being,
you are.
If you see horrible news, a fire happening in like Australia, or someone getting murdered in like India, that's gonna affect literally anyone. It's negative news, it's bad energy. It's like the concept of talking to two different plants, speaking positively to one, negatively to another. It's the same concept. You're surrounded by negative energy, negative news, you're gonna react to it whether you realize it or not. So having that access every morning on just your phone is it's horrible. And I think a lot more people need to wake up and not look at their phone immediately, because having your subconscious, your brain, you as a human waking up and you're watching your social media, even if you're like looking at positive things, you're gonna feel so horrible about yourself, because it's like, why don't I have a happy life like this? Why don't I start my day like this? Like, you have to be more like in the now. It's kind of what we were talking about before too, like focus on now and not too much about social media. It's honestly poison.
I think like it's important that like you kind of people like give themselves the grace to be who they are and not compare themselves to others, and like also to realize that so much of what you see on social media is just blatant fucking bullshit.
Yeah,
Like
it
even like
is.
looking at my own feed, I'm like, oh my god, like my Instagram, I'm like, really? Like that's not what
It's
my
not
life looks like.
not
Yeah.
a true representation.
It's not like
Yeah.
it's like every time I post something, like I'm posting like the best photo and some crazy fun thing I did that was like abnormal, out of the ordinary for me. Like I'm not posting me like lying on my floor eating Katie out of a pot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Just
it's been
most of my
normalized.
day.
It's been normalized
Yeah.
to show just the best things
Yeah.
of your life, which I think is okay, but a lot of people can't comprehend that there's
We forget.
like we're human, that there's other things occurring in our life. It's more so like a showcase of I'm better than you, or you know, look at my life, I look like this even though I don't.
Yeah, and I don't know, like I feel like it's kind of a shame. You know, we always see the negative, or we see kind of the stuff that we're jealous of.
Yeah,
or
so
like
it's
that-
drastic, the horrible
drastic.
things or the really fake beautiful delicious things.
Yeah, and it's never like we never see like a glimpse of reality, or we never see like a feel good story where it's like,
Yeah,
that's so nice.
the genuine.
That gives me like faith in the world again. It's blatant horror, and then it's unattainable perfection, and that's the only thing that people are exposed to. Like honestly, no wonder like young kids are so depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even just looking at TikTok comments, I still to this day cannot understand how people talk to each other like that, like strangers. The horrible comments they leave, and I've seen still so much racist things, and you'd think to this day that type of stuff would at least be dwindling down, but it's still happening, still pretty prevalent.
as hell, yeah.
And it's just more so people are silenced. People still have those thoughts, and I think it's
Yeah.
so crazy to this day. Like, we're all humans, and you still say those bullshit racist things even on social media where you can be tracked.
I think like it goes back to what Jill is saying. Having access to too much, you are going to find someone like-minded. Even if your like-minded is scary and dark and
Yeah.
horrible, you are going to find a place where you belong, where you can amplify that
Yeah.
that awfulness. I don't even know what to call it. And you'll feel okay, because even though you can be in a world where you can't actually preach those things out loud, you have a community in a sense, and then that can trigger you and lead you to do something so horrendous, like school shootings, stabbings.
Yeah, that's sort of where it
Everything,
starts.
yeah.
Like, they start talking about those things online,
Yeah,
and then
all the time they've linked it almost to being part of something online.
And school shootings are happening all the time now.
Yeah.
They're
consistent.
spilling over into Canada. We haven't really had too many problems with like large.
Yeah, because we
Yeah,
have like
gun violence.
we have gun control.
We have
here,
like
but-
fairly stringent.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're starting to hear about it more and more. Even like in my area, there's been so many
More
Amber
shootings.
Alerts, and like or not Amber Alerts, but like safety alerts where they're like, stay at home, like everyone stay in place. There's a shooter on the loose in your area.
Yeah, that happened the other day. Yeah, there was like I was at the
like
theater.
3 weeks ago by the time this comes out. But yeah, you were at the theater.
I
I
was
was,
at
at work.
I was
I
at
was
theaters.
home,
They were
and it was-
blaring it in
Yeah.
the theaters, and everyone's like, "Are we gonna watch this movie or not?" I was actually terrified that like they didn't say where this person was. I was like, "Is this gonna be like another movie
was fucking
shooter
terrifying,
situation?" I was like trying to watch Avatar 2, and I'm like, "What the fuck's happening?"
you don't even feel
I'm like, "Am I
safe,
gonna? Is
yeah.
this gonna be my last popcorn?" It's fucked up though. Like, it's just in Canada, you wouldn't think this would happen. It's happening more and
Yeah.
more.
And I remember like even a couple years ago, at like what was it, Raptors parade, like after
Yeah,
and-
in the
oh,
mall.
yes.
and they were just like shooting into the crowd. It's more and more that it's happening, and it kind of makes you wonder if it wasn't so heavily reported on when it did happen, like would it happen at this frequency? But then also like I've looked at statistics. I used to like study politics in school. The amount of essays I've written on American society, but a lot of them were about like major social issues in America. The statistics on gun violence is crazy. There's like multiple mass shootings daily throughout
Yeah.
the States. Like we'll be on like the 150th day of the year, and it's like we've had 287 mass shootings so far. Like it's fucking crazy how many
That's
of them go
insane.
unreported.
Like
Insane.
not hugely covered on the media.
So that's the thing too. Like,
The only ones they cover are the school shootings where young kids die.
Yeah.
like it sucks because they don't link these issues. Like, obviously these people are mentally ill and just really disturbed, and you never know, like these things can come about. Someone could just get really upset and from what they're exposed to on social media. Some people just can't handle the things they're exposed to, and just act out and or just
and I think
it clicks a switch in people sometimes.
I think it's especially tough for like some kids nowadays, because I know even like when I was growing up, like it was kind of a thing if you're like not the most popular at school or you're getting bullied or whatever. You know, when our parents were growing up, you just went home, and like maybe your next school day sucked, but like you had your few hours, like you know, you had your evening of like peace, like just with your family. Like, I mean, hopefully your family was nice to you. But now it like doesn't stop. Like you get bullied in person at school, and you come home and you're like getting messages and tweets, and people are subtweeting you and like commenting shit on your TikToks and your photos and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I've seen like the really young kids committing suicide.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because like, you know, things that happen on like Snapchat groups or WhatsApp groups between them, like it's like you said, there's no escape. Like, you finish getting bullied at school, you get home and it's coming through your phone, you're in your room alone, you literally feel alone in this world. That your parents could be outside, they could be so kind. Even worse if you don't have the greatest life at home, and you how do you escape? Like, I don't know if I'm 9 years old, 10 years old, 11 years old with my little self, like I wouldn't know how to escape. Like I don't know what resources I would have. It's just so limited in that moment. I can sympathize so much with these little kids, and my heart breaks for them, because I can only imagine how alone they feel.
And a lot of people, they think just turn off your phone, but if the rest of the world is so consumed by this, you have to follow the pack. You feel inclined as a human being biologically to do what other people are doing, to use your phone, to be on social media, have these, you know, whatever. As much as parents want to take these things away from kids, if 99% of the classmates have it, they're just gonna be like, fuck it, I'll give you a phone. Fuck it, I'll give you an iPad. You can never really win it when it comes to that.
Yeah, being a kid is so tough these days, and I don't know, it's just like a shame to see the way that things are going for the kiddos of today.
Okay, let's put a little spin on things then. What do you guys think your approach would be if you were, I mean, first of all, do you both want to have kids? Or is that too personal to ask? Or
you have to answer it now.
That's not too personal. I actually don't want kids.
Okay.
Because I got a hip tattoo and I would just destroy it. But also, honestly, like, I think the world's a little bleak.
Yeah.
To bring kids into it. I would like potentially consider like maybe adopting. I think that could be like a little fun and fresh moment for me. And like, I love having my baby kitty, and I feel like it'd just be like the same but more annoying. So I think I could do it.
Ophelia's sufficient enough, I guess.
Ophelia's a handful. But yeah, honestly, I was having this conversation at Christmas. I don't want kids because I think that the world is too bleak and too devastating.
That's fair enough. So Sharon, what about you?
Way to fucking make me sound like an asshole. I want kids for sure. I want like a lot of children. Fuck you.
I'm kidding. I support your decision.
We're gonna have a conversation later, Jill.
Oh my god, we're gonna have kids together.
Well, I'll think about it. We'll see. So yeah, I want kids. There's a European ring test my sister-in-law told me about, where if you get a real necklace, like a real metal necklace and a real like metal ring, and you dip it, I'll show you guys. For those of you on YouTube watching, you open your palm, you dip it between your index finger and your thumb a few times, and then you let it either swing back and forth, which is a boy, or swing in circles, which is a girl. And from that, I found out I would be having 2 girls and a boy. And what's interesting is my boyfriend has gotten that answer, and we've done it several times. Same answer keeps coming up. We've done it for people who have kids already, and the same kids have come up, like my parents who have girl boy have both gotten the same answer. So it
what am I doing?
Verifies.
I'm doing this on camera right now.
She's doing it on camera, guys. Come on, like YouTube
this?
And watch. Okay, give it to me.
Okay.
So is this even real?
Yeah, it is.
Shade. So you need a ring though. Okay.
Do you want to use my
ring?
ring?
There's a ring on it.
That's a solid rock. Let me use this one.
Okay.
It's too.
Well, there's a charm on it that's like ring shaped.
Nah, bitch. That's not gonna work. Okay, guys, bear with me. So we're gonna do a ring test on Jill. It's honestly accurate. I've done it with so many friends and family.
If you need to.
I've done it with so many friends and family. It's okay. We'll do it like this. And it's so accurate. So come on YouTube. Watch this episode. We'll see what ring Jillian's gonna have. So you dip it between the thumb and the index 3 times. And then I'm just gently gonna place it. And now we wait.
I'm like trying to be radio silent here.
Someone want to commentate?
It's not really doing too much. I mean, it's wiggling a little bit, but
It takes a little bit.
yeah, I don't think it's discernible enough movement.
Okay, guys. So it validates that you're not gonna have,
Yep, didn't
Kids.
move.
which
Look
is
at
really
me.
interesting.
I'm
Do
gonna
we
have
want to
cats.
continue? Do you want to
Do
do,
you
the
wanna try?
test?
Yeah, oh my
doesn't
God,
matter.
okay, yeah.
Come closer,
Does it
babe.
have to be either hand?
Doesn't matter. Okay, so we're gonna do Fatima now. So Jillian is not having kids apparently, which she
Woohoo.
likes. 1, 2, 3. Now we're doing Fatima. Let's see what baby girl's having.
Immediately, it's moving more than mine was.
Do you feel energy? And Philip is here as control to see that I'm not moving my hand.
I mean, hers is moving this way a little bit. Like
Okay,
mine wasn't
Bring
doing
your
that.
thumb up a little closer, or your fucking palm, not your thumb.
So
I'm not having kids either.
no, yours is moving considerably more than mine was.
It takes a little bit because my first daughter is very stubborn and it took a while.
Like yours is continuing to move.
This is just, I think it's indicating it'll be hard.
Look at it.
Yeah, it is going like side to side.
So swinging back and forth like that means it's a boy.
Damn,
And
bitch. Oh my God, look at it. It's like getting intense.
Philip, I didn't move my hand, did I? Nope. That's wild, eh? Oh my God. Okay, so swinging back and forth, that's a boy.
Ooh.
Okay, let's keep going because now we
Can I
see.
name it?
Hold
I
on,
wanna
let's
name
see
it.
if she's having more. 1, 2, 3. And then when we cut the cameras, we'll do Rajiv after. Oh, right away.
So
circular.
She's gonna be easier, so hold on. Hold on. No, it's a girl. She's gonna be easier to have. Isn't that wild? Okay, let's see. Any more? 1, 2, 3. Wow, right into a circle, guys.
it's a girl.
That's wild. Come watch this on YouTube, guys.
Literally, this is crazy.
Fatima, I want to name all of your kids for you. I'm
Okay, you can.
going to name the boy Bonk. B-O-N-K. The first girl is going to be Hillary Clinton. I'm naming these all after my old fish.
Can you
by the
feel
way.
any energy on your palm?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What is happening?
Look, you're having a
right now?
boy. Oh my God, so many kids to name.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a boy.
Bonk, Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
So boy, girl, boy. One more time. Because when you stop having kids, it stops. 1, 2, 3.
Fatima, how many goddamn presents am I going to have to buy these little fuckers for Christmas? That's the real question.
I can't talk or I'll move.
Oh my God, stop having kids. It's a lot of pressure for me as the cool
always
aunt.
wanted lots of kids.
Okay, this is a girl, but I think it's gonna be the last one. 1, 2, 3. Are you guys keeping track? I forget.
Yeah,
what
we're
I
I
at
think
said.
there's been
4.
5.
5. Yeah, there's been boy, girl, girl, boy, girl. Fatima, oh my God, close your goddamn legs.
I've gotta have an even.
Okay, I don't know what's going on here. We're gonna have to do this again off camera.
We'll check in and let you guys know.
But
Far too many goddamn children.
yo,
I'm
that's
not gonna
actually
remember their
wild
names.
though. I'm gonna do Rajiv and see if it matches because like it's wild. Like my
Yeah.
sister-in-law, my brother have done it. My little brother's done it. He doesn't have kids. Motherfucker's having 4 daughters. He's like,
oh,
hell
poor
no.
guy. Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, he's like, hell no. But yeah, I think I don't even know what the hell we were talking about there.
Yeah, going back. So
Yeah, if we want to have kids.
yeah. So
So
if
yeah.
you want to have kids, now what do you have you thought about what kind of approach you would want to take with social media and like life in general? I mean, like I'm totally with you there, Jill. That this is just another kind of world we're bringing kids into,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and it would take a lot of thought. I mean, I've given it some thought. Have you?
So yeah, to be honest with you, I'm going to be a little bit more, I'm going to have a different approach when raising my kids. I will baby them in a sense, but I'm going to treat them as like a human being. Like they're my friend and I'll still be their mother, but I don't want them to feel belittled by an adult babying them constantly. So the way I'm going to approach it is I will let them have social media, but at a certain age. I think probably when they're a teenager, maybe 16 years old, depending on how the world will be at the time. Probably 16 years old will be fine, and I think I'll introduce it lightly. I'm not gonna, cold turkey it or let them have it
Full
all of a
force.
sudden overnight. I'll gradually let them get into it, but at the same time, I also don't want to be too strict because me and Jill were talking about it earlier, being too strict on your kids and not letting them do anything. They're just going to go and do it anyways, right? And if I let my kids have access to this, maybe it won't be as destructive as I think it is. Kind of educate them in a way and let them not necessarily do what they want, but not be too hard on them. And because I can't avoid it, they're gonna grow up and have access to this anyways. You might as well let them kind of be a little bit exposed to it, but in a moderate level. Yeah. What do you think?
I'm totally with you there. Like, I mean, I think that one instance, I was actually doing an event recently, and the kids were there and the magician was there. These kids had to be between 3 to 10. Every time he did a magic trick, they were not fascinated, and they knew exactly what he was doing because they said they've seen it on TikTok. And I was just watching their reactions, so unentertained, like so not, and remembering whenever I've seen a magic show when I was younger, how baffled I was, how excited I was. And that to me right there made me feel like kids are not kids anymore. Like they don't have that, I don't know, like that kind of childish energy.
Yeah, like that, like innocence.
Yeah, the innocence, exactly.
Like, I'll say, I went to Boston Pizza like 3 years ago with my best friend, and they had one of those magicians who came by to the table, blew my goddamn mind.
Yeah,
These juiced.
I literally was more excited than them. He was like juggling and pulling like cards out, and they were like, this is actually one piece of paper and it was an illusion, and I was just thinking, I didn't even know that, and I was behind the scenes. So that just right there, this might be an unpopular opinion and might be a bit controversial, but I would actually like to homeschool my kids until the age of 10. Now, I don't want to make them not know what's happening in the world or anything like that. I just want to instill some of the ways I grew up and some basics principles on being a good human being.
Yeah.
Just simply that, which I think is lacking with lots of kids nowadays. At the same time, I'm planning to put them in tons of activities and things like that so they can be around other kids.
The socializing
I was
aspect.
Yeah,
gonna
and
say,
socializing.
6 kids. I think you might.
Yeah.
if my necklace is right.
So I love that idea, because you know what, it would break my heart if I have kids and they don't read, they don't do any sports, they don't do any extracurriculars, and they're constantly on their phone. I was that child who is a bookworm and just never, I was outside playing, doing gymnastics, learning literally anything I could possibly learn. That innocence was definitely in me, and looking back, I appreciate my childhood for that reason. So I don't even think that's controversial. It is, but I really respect that, because I would like to do that. I just don't know how I would go about that, because I really believe school these days is really just creating sheep. It's like you're not really learning what you really need to learn. A lot of the curriculum in schools these days, I mean, I don't have kids or young kids in my family to know, but from what I've heard, a lot of the things that they're learning is irrelevant, it's unnecessary, they focus on the wrong things, and they're strict for no reason. They're strict for the wrong reasons,
and they don't have the fundamentals. I mean, really fundamentals. I'm not saying like teach kids at a young age sine and cosine, because who's drawing sine and cosine graphs? Like, I'm talking about like basic multiplication, basic addition. Like now, because of the pandemic, I know from Adam, my little brother, kids are really behind on math, like really behind on math. And I think that basic math is a basic life skill that everybody should know.
Yes.
You know what blew my mind? Apparently, again, I'm not a toddler, but apparently they're not teaching cursive in schools anymore.
Oh, yes, they don't.
They stopped doing that years ago.
Blows my mind.
It's weird, because like I will write in cursive and a child will see it and they're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, like that's how I write, because
bizarre.
I'm a human being.
Yeah.
Like I'm an adult. Stop writing in little block fucking letters.
Yeah.
Write in cursive and do your taxes. Like
even in high school, at least in high school, you need like a proper sex ed, life skills, and finances, which is so important.
oh my god.
They set you up for disaster because you want to constantly be in a 9 to 5. I don't know if you guys have read Rich Dad Poor Dad, but that's literally what he discusses. You're just constantly primed to have this life where you have to rely on being constantly in debt, like always having a mortgage, always having a debt to pay, doing a 9 to 5, and just constantly being in the rat race. Being a sheep, just, you know, always focusing on paying your taxes and things like that. There's more to life than these things, and they don't teach kids these proper fundamentals like you're discussing, because they're literally priming you to be these like little soldiers, these sheep that will just constantly keep funding the government. That's a whole nother conspiracy theory.
But no, even to
I digress.
even to add to that, Adam actually just sent me a video, which is so funny. He's just 12, but he
her.
sent me a little video. They always teach you that there's one right answer, and so when you grow up, you're so afraid to make a mistake, where in reality there's multiple right answers. There's multiple paths you can take to get to that answer, whether the answer is just simply an answer to an equation or what success, whatever it is. There's many roads you can take. When a student answers incorrectly, automatically correcting them and automatically not being interested in their perspective and trying to shift it to make it fit the mold, like I don't think that that's good for children. They need to realize that there's multiple ways to get to from point A to point B.
Yeah, I remember like even being in school, I was always like really good at math, and
Are you sure?
yes, not anymore, guys. I'm brain dead now, and everyone knows it. Like I'd do like tests or like whatever, or, like my homework, and I'd submit it, and they'd be like, "Oh, you didn't do like the ridiculously long-winded way that we taught you how to do long division." I'm like, "Well, I can do fucking normal division in my head."
Yeah.
So I just
True,
wrote
yeah.
down the answer. Like, you asked
I
me, like,
never
what's
learned
10
it.
divided by 5? It's 2. Like, I don't need to
Yeah.
write it out, you idiot.
I
Like,
never learned long division, and
so
I don't give a fuck
I,
about it.
honestly, if someone asked me to do long division right now, I think I'd burst into tears.
Yeah, same.
But I used to, like, know how to do it, right? And I used to be able to do math in general. Not anymore. But, but yeah, like, you were always just taught there is a wholly correct answer, and if it's not entirely correct,
Then
it's wrong.
Yeah.
Or if it's a differing opinion than like what we're trying to teach you, it's wrong. Like people can get to like the same conclusion in different ways.
Yeah.
And some people think differently. Like I mean, I think we're knowing more about it now than like we used to, but like there's a ton of different ways that people's brains actually like work and
Gotcha.
interact. Like even a great example, like my best friend's been doing her LSATs, or her LSATs. And the LSATs don't test how smart you are. They test if you think in the optimal way to be a lawyer. The MCATs test if, actually I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's like
It's
the
a
same
similar
thing.
way,
Like
but for medical.
it's like more medical based, but it's it tests your like rationalization skills and the way that your brain thinks. Like how logical are you? Like what kind of logical steps do you take to get, like, so the answers they give you, there's not a right answer, there's
Yeah.
a most right answer.
Yeah, it's like
because
what can
that
create the best
answer-
solution.
Yeah, like that particular answer would indicate that this is the way that your brain approached the question,
Yeah.
which would indicate you have the right thinking type that we're looking for, or you're able to train your brain to think that way. Like not every single person is going to look at something and like think it through the exact same way. So why are we teaching kids that that's how their brain has to work? Why are we teaching kids it's bad if their brain doesn't work in the same way as like the norm or the ideal? I'd say even ideal over norm. Makes no sense.
I'm with you there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Stupid.
yeah, it's crazy. I grew up thinking about getting something wrong, I'd be terrified. I think a good example would be my boyfriend. He was forced to take like Chinese school to learn his language, and I mean I was offered that, but I just opted to teach my own language to myself, so I'm grateful for that. But he ended up taking a Chinese school, and he's had horrible memories because he would just be just very traumatic, because they would really tear you down if you get the wrong answer, if you don't grasp something a certain way, because like Cantonese and Mandarin are very hard languages, and he was learning Cantonese, and like to this day there's a lot of things that haunt him, and he's I wouldn't say he's scared to make a mistake, but like it's kind of been ingrained in him as a child to try to strive for the best answer. And like I feel like a lot of kids can relate to this, because there's a lot of teachers I even grew up with that would scream at you, yell at you, abuse you. Back in our parents' days, they used to like whip children.
You smoke those
Back
little
home,
fuckers.
back home,
They would
we
beat
got
you.
whipped. We got hit with like the metal
Jesus
rulers,
Christ.
Yeah.
or like another punishment, because school, like, and they would punish you for everything. Like school was also cost a lot of money where I lived, and so if your parents were late paying, you got punished. So when you came into class, you had to stand in the corner facing the wall with both your arms in the air and on one leg. I'm not even joking you, for the
Oh my
entire
God.
day. You know how much your arms hurt from being like up in the air
Yeah.
like that? Crazy.
That is so fucked up.
Yeah. It's intense. Like, it's like,
The things that kids have to go through,
Yeah.
it's absolutely like I can't comprehend it. Like the schooling in East Asia, like Korea and Japan, China, even like even a friend even told me in India, like the expectations all over the world really for kids is immense, the amount of use they go through. But then here in Canada, it's not consistent. I feel like the curriculum, it's not consistent, and I feel like a lot of the kids just
we need to find a middle ground. We can't be the extremes.
Yeah.
Like, there needs to be a middle
like
ground.
there's kids in like Japan who clean the classroom.
Yeah.
And then here in Canada, the kids like fucking flip off the teachers and go and vape outside.
Yeah.
Guilty. I'm kidding, guys. I quit. And I'd like to be
Congratulations. Since the
Yeah.
first, second episode, she's quit vaping.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. She doesn't owe us money.
Yeah.
No,
I'm sad
I don't-
about
I
that
don't
though.
anyone money. My friends who all smoke, they were all like, we're all quitting for New Year's too. So one of their boyfriends is enforcing first one to like cave and buy a vape or like hit anyone else's vape even has to take the entire group out for dinner. I'm like, bitch,
Love
no
that.
one's
Yeah.
no one's got the funds for that. Absolutely not.
Just to kind of switch it up a little bit on you guys, I was kind of interested in this topic because of a lot of violence happening here in Canada. So in the real estate industry, for really anyone, any client, it's so important to be able to have the opportunity to choose your own realtor, because even here in Hamilton, like every street is different. And if you don't have a realtor that is knowledgeable in that area, for instance, doesn't know a specific street in Hamilton or neighborhood is good or bad or suits you and your needs, it doesn't work out. Like if you're going and buying your home for your family, like your wife is pregnant, you're pregnant, you're about to be married, you have a family already, or you're simply moving on your own, or any other situation really, you need to know where you're moving to. You need to have a knowledgeable realtor who knows where you're moving, and if it's affiliated with any gangs, if there is any danger or anything that frequents that area. It's so important, and I feel like a lot of clients don't recognize that. You need to be able to have that choice to pick someone and not have to just jump on the first person you know just because they're experienced. Doesn't really know that they know Hamilton. Like a Mississauga realtor doesn't know Hamilton. A Brantford realtor might not know, St. Catharines or something like that. You just have to do your research and look into that. Like, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, like I know even for myself, like I recently moved and I was like, I'm gonna move to the ghetto because it was so fucking cheap. Like I was like, I'm moving to like literally like the most terrifying part of town. I'm dead set on it. I don't give a fuck. Like I just want like $1,100 a month rent. Currently I'm living in a nice condo that my mom forced me into for $2,000 a month, and I'm hating it. But I will say, well, I love it, but struggling.
Nepotism, baby.
That's not nepotism.
I'm just kidding.
But my mom was helping me find a place, and I'm like, I'm moving to this terrifying neighborhood. And she's like, no, you're not. And the only reason I didn't is because I needed a co-signer. And she refused. Because she's like, that's a terrifying neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. And I was like so annoyed and like so pissed off that she wouldn't just let me like move to the literal like horrifying ghetto where literally there's like car thefts and like stabbings every day.
Literally.
Yeah. And I'm like, Mommy, like I need cheap rent. Like I can't afford to live in like a nice part of town. But like now I work there and it's horrifying. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I tried to move here. Like it's terrifying.
Yeah, even the office we were at previously too it was kind of questionable. Like when we were there late at night one time, we were meeting all together, we literally had to run to our car because there were some weird guys on the motorcycle staring at us.
Yeah, like the amount of creeps in the sketchier parts of Hamilton. And like it's my mom's realtor. Thank God she didn't let me live there, and she wasn't even making money off of it. She just loves me. So
yeah. And like honestly, that's why it's really important to choose a realtor who's local to the neighborhood you're moving to. Whatever your vision is for your lifestyle, the neighborhood can recommend whether you're single, you're a couple, you're a family, they can recommend which neighborhood will suit the lifestyle you need, recommend schools, parks, like whatever it is, whatever your list is, having a local realtor can save you from moving somewhere that would just cause you and your family misery and have you have to uproot a lot sooner than you would have needed to otherwise.
Yeah. So yeah, like that's the thing. Being able to do research about schools and stuff is one thing, but like you said, having a local realtor that actually has heard these stories, knows these areas, frequents those areas is so important. But even if you do want to support a family member, but want to, let's say, move to a city that they don't know, they can still help you out and recommend a good, reliable realtor that has this knowledge of the area. Like, you could still work with your family and they can refer someone to you that is knowledgeable. They can help you in the process, and then your family member can also benefit from the situation as well, which is awesome. So there's always options there, and it's so important to keep that in mind, because there's dangerous areas everywhere, right?
Yeah. I think too, like, a lot of people don't necessarily have like the like foresight and the knowledge to like vet their realtors.
They don't really think to either.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, you have a lot of experience, great, like, let's do it. But like, I don't know, like, literally you can Google what are things I should ask my realtor before signing a contract, and like it'll be like a list of like 30 things of like, ask your realtor this question to like test their knowledge and make sure that like they're right for you, that their marketing plan is right for you, that their rate works for you, like blah blah blah. Like there's just so many things that like a buyer or a seller can do, like to their, like with their due diligence,
for their own due diligence.
Yeah, just to make sure that whatever realtor they get is like gonna do the job the way that they want it done. Like, ultimately it's a business transaction. Like, a lot of people do tend to have like good relationships with their realtors, and like it's a fun and it's exciting process. So I think people kind of sometimes lose sight of the fact that this is business. Like, I'm making a huge financial investment, and like, yeah, we're having fun and you're super sweet, but like, are you doing your due diligence? Are you doing your job? Are you like protecting my best interests? I think like the clientele who definitely have it down is investors, because they just don't have an emotional attachment to the process, so they're like, do the job.
They see right through it. They see that are you diligent enough to do your job or not? No, okay, move on. Next person. They don't care for like the cupcakes and the coffee and the laughter and all that shit. They're just like, fucking buy me a house.
Versus like, if you're, you know, buying your own home, and like maybe it's like your first home, or you're moving in with a partner or something, and like it's exciting, and
it is so emotional,
and especially like I've seen lots of people like on a couple ends of the spectrum, like either like they're going with a complete stranger who's like incompetent, or maybe they're very competent, or like they're using like a friend who maybe they shouldn't be. Like, I'm all for supporting your friends' businesses, but at the end of the day, it's not always right for everybody to go with like a friend or a family member.
Also, like, just with any industry, I mean, people can really fake it. There's a lot of fake realtors out there that will fake a relationship with you just for the transaction, and just it's heartbreaking. It makes me think. I talked about this situation in the last episode where I have a listing someone was bringing an offer to, and the realtor just did not represent their client sufficiently, and I felt really bad for their clients, because ultimately, like, there's so much I can do. I have to act in my client's best interest, so you can't really move forward with someone who doesn't bring enough information.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to work with a realtor who's gonna bring out you as the client in the best light to the other side, represent you in the best way possible, because you know what the other side is looking for, so you can make sure your client is presenting the correct information, whether it be an offer, presenting the most appealing offer, making sure you're getting all the right supporting documents, whether it's for a lease or a buy or a sell. It's just important to work with someone who's, I guess I'm kind of repeating myself here, but not only is local to the area where you're moving, but also a good realtor who actually cares about you achieving your end goal in a way that is good to you and not just profitable to them.
Yeah, exactly. I think in like in any business, once you start looking at things as purely transactional, like ultimately it is transactional, and you do need to keep that like kind of in the back of your head. But once you stop caring about like the people and the like stuff that you're, you know, dealing with, like in our cases, homeowners, wannabe homeowners.
Wannabe homeowners. Well, you're just a wannabe.
Wannabe homeowners, like me. But like, you know, once you stop caring about that, I don't know, it all goes to hell.
Yeah, that's really important to keep in mind. You want someone who has a lot of integrity and ethics. You don't want just a realtor who's trying to make a quick buck on you, and that's really hard to find. All power to you if you're looking for a realtor. So
I mean, I know 3 good realtors right in this room.
1, 2, 3
have got all the things you're looking for.
We have everything you need, baby. We'll take care of you. But no, in reality, even if you need like a referral or something from out of the city, like,
let
It's
us know,
a-
even if you just want to know what questions to ask, like
Yeah.
Jill mentioned. We are
Yeah.
more than happy to
Yeah.
make
Yeah,
sure you've
always.
got the right knowledge going into your
Into the
your next
industry.
step.
Yeah.
Biggest transaction you'll ever make in your life, baby. Make an informed decision, okay?
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
There we go.
And like if anyone ever like specific questions or like topics people want us to cover, like let us know.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have some more informational videos coming out, and we do cover quite a few topics on Instagram as well. So let us know what you want to see. Any questions you have, we'll answer it. A lot more content coming through. If
Yeah.
you want to have a specific property tour for any areas, let us know. We're going to be doing some property tours
Yeah.
now that it's the new year. If you want to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere, baby.
Spotify.
Everywhere. Spotify. Yeah, that's important. Probably listening on Spotify too. Thank you.
Probs.
So, your homegirls with a period between each word. Check us out.
Yeah. And then JillianMcLeod.realestate.
Yeah. And it's Fatima Salama Green.
And Sharon.Musavi, baby. And of course, we'll have it on the screen for you guys there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching and listening. We will,
See
you
you next
will.
Just you.
See you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.